Sorry about the wait there. Thanks ever so much.
Have you got my t-shirt in there?
Hey?
Have you got my t-shirt in there? I ordered a t-shirt with no logo on the back.
Oh, he probably has, yeah. He's just putting his faith in the show.
You think?
Almost certain he's got it with you. He just wanted it with it on the front. He's probably got it, yeah.
Yeah, I tried ordering it over the email, but it said they would have to ask the suppliers.
Oh, I don't know. He didn't mention it, but
It would be just a one-off. I didn't expect it, but the last reply I got, the person says, "I'll see what I can do," because you had run out of small size.
is it a woman or a bloke? Or don't put it that.
A woman, I think.
Yeah, she's not here, but when he gets here, it'll only be 5 minutes. I'll ask him.
Yeah, I doubt if they would do it, because they would have to do just one single T-shirt without the logo on the back, but with
The thing is, you have to buy thousands of these things to
yeah.
get them. Have with it on the back.
It's too. I like black. I like black. Yeah.
Wow, hang on.
Have you got it? That's brilliant. Thanks. Still got my t-shirt.
I've got it here.
I'll be back for it. Right. Right. Yeah, I think I'll go for the helicopter.
Gracias. Après,